we've had a lot of requests for some information around hormone health. And the conversation of hormone health is so vast and extensive because we have so many hormones in our body that communicate with each other and make significant impacts on the way that we live our lives day to day. So what I wanted to start with is some of the basics. And this may seem really basic when it comes down to hormone health, but we want to look at a few different things that are going to support, as much as we can, optimal hormone health. So that's going to be things that help in terms of our hormone metabolism. So we want hormones in our bodies, we want the right amount, but we also want to be able to break down those hormones and get rid of them so that there aren't excessive amounts building up. At the same time, we want to make sure that we have the right amount that's being produced. Now, you may have guessed it. What does this come down to? A lot of it is lifestyle factors. And while we look at everyone as an individual and depending on what types of symptoms you're experiencing and what's going on for you, we would want to tailor these suggestions. I'm going to talk about some really general ones. Now, the first thing to know is that everything in our body is connected, and it's connected primarily through our nervous system. That's why at Radiant Effect we love talking about nervous system health. So we've talked a bit about 5-element theory, and that right now in winter we are in the season of water. Water is related to your kidney organs, which also have your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands are responsible for so many different hormones in the body. So our adrenal glands play a role in terms of our sex hormones, so things like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. They play a role in the production of our stress hormones, things like cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline. They also play a role in terms of different hormones that help to balance out fluid in our body, and that equates to blood pressure. And so there's a lot that our little adrenal glands do. Now, one of the most sort of intricate or connected pathways as it relates to hormone health is the fact that a lot of our hormones are called steroid hormones. And what that means is that the chemical backbone, or the different compounds and elements that make up those hormones, is the same. And in our body, if we think about things like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol, our primary stress hormone, the backbone is the same. It's cholesterol. So cholesterol gets a bad rap, and definitely we need to find this balance between higher amounts of HDL, which is sort of the good type of cholesterol, and we want lower LDL, which is the not so good type, but we need cholesterol. And our body can produce cholesterol, but we do get a lot of it from our diet. Now, cholesterol produces the backbone of a lot of these hormones. And the thing is that there's only so much cholesterol that can go to making up these hormones. So what happens if we are really stressed out and ongoingly our body is having to pump out a lot of cortisol, our primary stress hormone? What does that mean? It means that all of that cholesterol that's used to make the backbone of all of those steroid hormones only goes to cortisol. And so there's going to be less that eventually will go to things like progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. And our body makes all sorts of compensations to adjust for this. And what it means is that some types of hormones are going to be higher, other types are going to be lower. And really when we think about hormone health, the most important thing is about finding balance. And the balance of the right amount being processed the right way, and the right amount in relation to the right amount of other hormones. So, how do we promote good, healthy hormones? First of all, we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to manage our stress levels. So this doesn't mean necessarily eliminating all stress, but it means increasing our coping capacity and also finding balance in where we can spend time in relaxation. So I encourage you, take 10 minutes every day at least to find relaxation, whether that's going for a walk, taking a bath, sitting quietly in a mindfulness practice, doing some gentle movement. Find what works for you, but that's going to help to balance out that cortisol level. Now, when we think about optimizing our sex hormones, things like estrogen and progesterone predominantly, there are a few other things that we want to do. So one is dietary. And there are a few dietary things that I would suggest making some shifts towards. One would be that we really want to increase the content of dark leafy greens in our diet, as well as lots of berries, because these provide a lot of antioxidants, but they also provide the building blocks for the processes that support detoxification. So we hear a lot about having excessive amounts of estrogen, and that can lead us to increased risk of hormone-driven cancers. And that's true, but it doesn't always mean that there's too much estrogen circulating in the body. Sometimes it just means that our bodies aren't doing a good job, particularly our liver, at detoxifying, breaking down, and eliminating estrogen once it's been used, or excessive estrogen. So we really want to promote good, healthy detoxification, and we're going to do that through dark leafy greens, and through lots of berries, okay? The next thing that you want to do is you want to increase your dietary fiber intake. So this is going to be looking for whole grains, things like lentils, chickpeas, it's going to be vegetables as well, and this is all going to help to increase your fiber intake. Now, we want to aim for a minimum of 40 grams of fiber per day. If this is a big jump for you, make sure that you're going up slowly, and also make sure that you're increasing your hydration to balance it out. Otherwise, things can get a little stuck down there in our digestive tract. The other thing that's really essential for hormone health is to include at least 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, preferably organic, and that's going to help with hormone detoxification and breakdown. So getting in that good flax, it's also going to give you a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which is great for brain health, it's great for mood, it's great for your skin and your nails and your hair, but it's definitely going to support making sure that you're getting good hormone detoxification. We also want to make sure that we are maintaining healthy blood sugar balance. So with blood sugar balance, it usually means eating regularly through the day. So oftentimes we'll say 3 meals, 3 snacks. I know there's a lot out there right now on intermittent fasting, and maybe we'll cover that on another Tip Tuesday. Comment below if you're interested in hearing more about that. But it's not always for everyone. So if we are supporting hormone health and healthy blood sugar balance, we want to make sure that our blood sugar isn't dipping too low. So what do we do about that? Well, what we have to do is make sure that we're eating regularly. And what I would really encourage you to do is every time you're eating, whether it's a meal or a snack, make sure that you're getting a carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat. Carbohydrate is going to give you energy in a more accessible, quicker form. Try not to have refined carbohydrates. So if we can, we want to limit processed sugars, refined grains, alcohol, but a complex carbohydrate, that's going to be something like a grain or some veggies. We want to make sure we're getting a protein. That's going to help to sustain the blood sugar balance across time as well. And then a fat, which gives us that longer term satiation. So all three, put them together for every meal and every snack. This may seem like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? But if you think about a snack, it could be like veggie sticks and hummus. It could be apples and almond butter. So that's going to provide all of those macronutrients that you need for good blood sugar balance. What happens when we sleep? When we sleep, our bodies restore, repair, and detoxify. So we want to make sure as adults that we're getting at least 7 hours of sleep every night, and that's going to make sure to support healthy hormone balance. The other thing that is really important to look at is the impact that our environment, our personal care products, the quality of meat we're eating can have on our hormones. There's lots of chemicals out there called endocrine disrupting chemicals or EDCs. These are chemicals or ingredients that are commonly found in personal care products. They include things like parabens and phthalates. And we can link down the EWG Skin Deep database, and that can be really supportive in terms of determining the health of the personal care products you're using. But EDCs mimic estrogen, and so they help to build up estrogen in the body. And again, that excessive amount of estrogen is not good for us. So we want to make sure that we're using clean personal care products. We love Beauty Counter because they ban over 1,800 questionable and harmful ingredients to human health, including multiple EDCs. So if you have questions about that, comment below and we'd be happy to help you out. We also want to make sure that we are not ingesting hormone disrupting chemicals from pesticides and from our meat, so our food. And a really good database that we like to use is called the EWG, or Environmental Working Group, Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. And what this outlines is the top 12 most sprayed pieces of produce, as well as the top 15 cleanest. So it gives you some information about when to shop organic. Not everyone, of course, chooses to shop organic all the time or can afford to, and that's very reasonable. So the idea is, how do we make informed decisions so that maybe the produce that we are using the most, I eat spinach every day, as an example. So I choose to buy organic spinach because I'm having it every single day. It's also on the Dirty Dozen. So we can make choices that way, whereas avocado is on the Clean 15. I don't have it as often, and so I'm not as worried about buying conventional, right? So we can make choices that way. Being mindful of the meat that we are consuming. For beef, we really want to make sure that we are having, if we can, organic grass-fed. Same with dairy, we want organic and grass-fed cow sources. That's because there's a huge amount of hormones and antibiotics that can be used in conventional meat when animals are raised, and that then goes into particularly their meat, but their fat as well, and then gets transmitted to us when we eat it. So it can wreak havoc on our own hormones. One last thing around your house, checking into the cleaners that you're using. We want to switch out plastics for glass. So if you're drinking, try to drink out of glass instead of plastic. Food containers, making sure that you are using glass instead of plastic. Plastic, particularly when heated, though, over time it starts to break down and can leach EDCs into your food, which you then consume. So there's lots of different resources. We're going to link them down below, but we really hope that you start to consider these lifestyle factors that you can make in terms of optimizing your hormone health. There's lots more to come, you guys, so stay tuned. Comment down below with your questions, what things you're looking to change, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining.